My stepmother tried to erase all evidence of my real mother, so I erased her from the family fortune. I was 12 when my dad brought home this woman who would become my stepmother, just 6 months after my real mom died in a car accident. The whole thing felt rushed and wrong, like dad was trying to replace mom before her memory could even settle properly in our house. This woman moved in with her two daughters, and suddenly everything that reminded us of mom started disappearing piece by piece. At first it was subtle things that I barely noticed, because I was still processing the grief of losing my mother. Small decorative items would vanish from shelves, family photos would get moved to less prominent spots, and mom's favorite coffee mug disappeared from the kitchen cabinet. I thought maybe dad was just putting things away because they made him too sad to look at every day. But then I started noticing bigger changes that made my stomach turn with a sick feeling I couldn't quite name. The beautiful oil painting that mom had commissioned of our family when I was 8 got taken down from the living room wall and replaced with some generic landscape art. Mom's gardening tools disappeared from the garage, and the flower beds she had lovingly maintained for years got ripped up and replaced with boring shrubs. My stepmother would make these comments about how the house needed a fresh start and how it was time to move forward instead of dwelling on the past. She said it with this fake sympathetic tone that made me want to scream because I could tell she didn't actually care about our feelings at all. She just wanted to erase every trace of my mother's existence so she could pretend she was the only woman who had ever mattered in this house. The worst part was watching my dad go along with all of it without putting up any fight or resistance. He would just nod and agree when she suggested throwing away mom's things or changing something else about the house. I started to wonder if he had actually loved my mother at all, or if he was just relieved to have someone new to take care of the domestic responsibilities. When I turned 16, I discovered something that changed everything about how I understood my family's financial situation. I was helping dad organize some papers in his office when I found documents showing that my mother had inherited a substantial amount of money from her parents before she died. The inheritance had been worth almost $2 million, and according to the paperwork, it was supposed to be held in trust for me until I reached the age of 25. But as I dug deeper through the financial records, I realized something terrifying had happened to that money. My stepmother had somehow gotten herself added as a beneficiary to the trust, and she had been steadily draining the funds for her own purposes over the past 4 years. She had used the money to pay for her daughter's private school tuition, expensive vacations, and even a brand new car for herself. I felt like I was going to be sick when I saw how much of my mother's legacy had already been stolen from me. The trust that was supposed to secure my future had been reduced to less than half its original value, and my stepmother was still making regular withdrawals for her personal expenses. She had literally been living off